Hey guys, welcome to 3 Geeks in the Pod. As you know, for a while I've been trying to add more content to the YouTube page and trying to find ways to do it relatively simply because unfortunately I don't have necessarily all the time in the world to be constantly cutting stuff. I do have a backlog of things I intend to get to, compilations of the episodes that we've already done, but I'm trying to find newer ways of doing stuff, and for a while I've wanted to do a vlog, but I don't know if I necessarily have anything interesting to say unless I'm super passionate about it. So I'm going to try and do one of these talking walk blogs things that people do. I know I'm totally stealing that idea, but I'm going to give it a shot, and I thought I'd do the news. When we dropped that part of the podcast, I tried to do one on Facebook. I couldn't add my own commentary the way I wanted to. I was mostly just kind of sharing links, and that's not nearly as interesting. So I thought I'd try and cover the news. So if you've been paying attention to the internet today, you might have seen that Edgar Wright actually teased a set photo from Ant-Man, and a lot of people are kind of confused because nobody remembers there being any sort of casting news. I'm not sure if they're doing some sort of camera test, if they're doing a costume test, but I thought it was kind of interesting, and I'm really excited about this movie. I really hope it does well, and I mean the Marvel movies have been great, but Ant-Man's kind of an underrated character, and unfortunately a lot of the time people kind of assume that he's boring, and I do think there's something worthwhile about adapting him, especially since it's Edgar Wright, who has kind of a history of taking sort of seemingly mundane subject matter, or at least mundane people and locations, and kind of making them interesting by context and style and what he does. But I think people kind of underestimate the character and what he can do. I do think that there's potential for his character to be interesting, for his story to be interesting. That's not really what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is I kind of have an attitude about comics and heroes, and that there's no such thing as necessarily a bad superhero. There are heroes that haven't met their potential yet. There's people and characters who haven't found the right author to kind of guide them. And you see this when you read stories about characters who don't necessarily have the most interesting background or necessarily the most interesting power set, and under the right hand become bizarrely fascinating. I really think that Edgar Wright could be somebody who could make Ant-Man really exciting and really fun. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. This could be a disaster. So many noisy cars. Anyway, I'm really kind of looking forward to Ant-Man, and this teaser's kind of got me not hyped up, but a little excited and a little interested. This is a super popular road. Okay, changing gears now. I want to talk about S.H.I.E.L.D, the second episode of it. If you hadn't caught our episode last week, right up ding there, you might have seen that me and Amanda talked about S.H.I.E.L.D. And while we both kind of enjoyed the show, we thought there was room for improvement. And two of our major complaints were that we didn't really get to know the characters, and there wasn't a lot of meat or substance to it. There was a lot of world building, but not necessarily anything that we could kind of grab onto and would necessarily motivate us to stay with it. However, this week they kind of gave us what I was asking for. Not entirely. It's still not quite there yet, but the second episode focused a lot more on the team and who they are, how they get along, and how they function as a team, and what it is that kind of brings them together. And I thought it was kind of a fun episode. Again, it's not perfect, but it's definitely starting to focus more on the humanity of the team and who they are. I don't know, I enjoyed it a lot more than the first one. Not to say I didn't enjoy the first one, just it wasn't my favorite. So many cars. Now, if you stuck around for the post-credit scene, you might have seen that they had their first sort of major cameo. Of course, Mariah Hill was there in the first episode, played by Kobe Smulders. I have a feeling that she's going to be more of a repetitious character than some of the other ones, but it was really cool to see that Samuel L. Jackson got to reprise his role as Nick Fury. I was wondering if they were ever going to get around to that, and wow, they got to it kind of early. I didn't think it would be this soon. I thought maybe that would be like a season finale thing, or and it wasn't a big role. He didn't go into combat, and he just kind of sat there like Coulson, but it was still nice to see that even some of the big names aren't afraid to be on the show, and it kind of gives potential that we could get guys like, I don't know, Mark Ruffalo on the team, or even Chris Evans, not as a permanent member, obviously, just sort of a pop-up every once in a while, but I thought it was nice, and it was a really cool kind of thing to remind us that this is part of a larger, more cohesive universe, and once again, that's kind of what draws me to it. So it's getting kind of noisy, a lot of traffic, and I gotta go get groceries and go home and eat. It's been a long day, I'm not feeling great. Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap up and say thanks for watching, guys. If you have any ideas or comments or anything you want to say about the topics that I've been talking about, feel free to comment below. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. And don't forget to watch us every Sunday, 8 p.m. We're live at debsneil.com/3gp. Join us in the chat to be part of the show. And until next time, guys, have a good night.
So
Amanda looks sexy.
Amanda has sexy hair tonight because
I'm so
Amanda's
glad Errol isn't
pregnant.
here for that
I
comment.
know, right?
He would jump on
You'd
that
be like, oh! And then...
Oh, poor dead birdie. That is so sad. Why are you dead? Poor dead birdie. That is kind of creepy, actually. People are looking at me.